What is up, y'all? We are here for our weekly romance reading. It's Thirsty Thursday when I'm recording. Hope everybody's doing well. We're here to get a look at the week ahead and what we need to know as it pertains to our love lives. So we are tuning in to find out what can lead us in the direction of unfolding our potential and how can we avoid our shortcomings. Well, the first two cards that came out are soulmate and release your ex. So yes, this is your soulmate and release your ex. The time has come to clear your energy. So there could be, you may know this person or you may not yet, but either way, there's something that needs to be released from the past before this can come into being. If you've met this person or not, either way, this has to be done first before this can come in. And it makes sense with all of the other readings that we've had recently leading up to this. It's like we're clearing out all of these, the remaining clutter and baggage from the past that have left us with these paradigms and programs that have been implanted in our subconscious. And so they've been manifesting as these unconscious impulses, right? That have been driving us and we don't even know why, right? And they might come up and they might lead us in directions and they might make us impulsive, or they might lead to our self-sabotaging tendencies. But either way, these things are coming up in your awareness, probably over the last few weeks, in triggers and in, you know, situations playing out. And so it's all playing out for you to see, okay, what is left, you know, after all this work, this transformational work that we've been doing, what's really left that's keeping us stuck from moving forward and having like the soulmate relationship that we want. So Venus just had a star point activation yesterday, or when was the new moon? It was Wednesday, yesterday. So Venus star point activation happens every 8 years. So what were the lessons or experiences that you were having 8 years ago that are playing out in a similarity now? Venus is connected to love and money. So when you are having trouble in your love life, especially where it comes to issues around self-worth or having the confidence to demand what you deserve, or, you know, establishing inner security, that affects both your money and love. So if you are selling yourself short in like your career or money, you might find that your love life is disrupted with situations that aren't giving you what you feel like you deserve, right? You might have dating experiences that you feel are like you're selling yourself short with. You're not getting the fullness of what you want or you desire. Same with love. If you are selling yourself short in love, then you might experience money issues or issues with your career as well. So those things are related because they're all connected to our sense of deservingness, our self-worth, our security, our trust, and our faith in the universe to take a chance, to take a risk. So really examine that, especially as it involves, like, who were you dating 8 years ago? What happened in those relationships? What was happening in your career parallel to that 8 years ago? And what kind of similar experiences or cycles or situations are you finding yourself in now, where you can glean on, okay, how did that play out then? What are the similarities now? How am I almost going back into that reflexive behavior and playing that out again, and being able to catch yourself and actually pause and reflect on that before you reactively make a choice or a decision. All right, what else do we need to know? Oh, what is this? This could be the one. So yeah, prepare yourself and continue to do the work. Most of the mystic journey, the spiritual journey, is preparing the vessel for the moment that you get the opportunity for the thing to present itself, whether it be the career break that you've been waiting for, whether it be that relationship that you've been wanting to call in. Maybe you have a person that is a possible candidate. This could be the one. You've already met the romantic partner that you seek. So we are in a lot of retrogrades right now. And maybe in some aspect, it's like you are starting to get more clear about the kind of romantic partner that you're wanting to call in. It's possible that you've already met this person. And then it's possible that on a soul level, you're already connected even if you haven't met them yet. Maybe they're in your energy field and they're very close by. So be advised, be aware. But in the meantime, the most productive thing that you can do is the healing work, is examining, okay, what have you learned and taken away from past relationships? What do you still need to heal from past relationships? You know, something that I've been doing recently that's been coming up is going back and unpacking those relationships that weren't exactly relationships. Those things that didn't come into fruition, that just sort of left those open, like tangled threads that were unclear, or there were things that you never said that you wanted to, or things that questions you had, or, you know, things that were just left unresolved. So those things might be coming up. And it's so weird because there's so many people in this life that, you know, maybe we don't have a traditional relationship with. Maybe we don't even have like the sexual part of the relationship. But how many times have you had like almosts, or a situationship, or it's complicated, where it never really fully played out? And maybe, you know, you never got physical, or you never really let it happen to see if it would go anywhere. And so you've just been haunted by the what ifs and the woulda, coulda, shouldas and all of that. And so a lot of times, because they weren't a breakup, because they weren't a big relationship that we had, we sort of just kind of keep carrying on, and we don't really go back and dissect like what that did, how it affected us, how it affected our mindset about ourselves, or what we perceived happened in that situation. And then all of the assumptions that we take with us to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, you know? So it's like there may be exes from your past that you wouldn't consider exes, that you still need to go back and take a look at how that played out and how it ended. And, you know, if there were kind of like open wounds that weren't resolved, and maybe getting like closure on that for yourself. And you may not be able to talk to that person about it, but you can still take what you learned from that, right? And it's not like we don't necessarily need that person's validation, although, you know, having things answered does help sometimes. But it depends on, you know, when and if that is ever, you know, like there are some people that are just in such a distant past where you can't really go back and like sort that out, you know? And so Kabbalah gives us these steps of proactive confrontation, where you can maybe put yourself in a meditative state or pray about it before you have a dream or something, before you go to bed. And you can have these interactions with people on a soul level before you ever have that conversation in person. And many times it's resolved on that spiritual level, and the conversation never needs to happen. And, you know, sometimes it shouldn't happen, right? I've been in weird situations before that didn't involve love. It was actually work related, where, like, I don't know, that something weird played out, and then the person kept trying to come back for more, like, to like give a lot of explanation and apology and all of like a lot of things. And so it almost made it like worse. And so there's a part of that Kabbalistic confrontation where you have to consider, what are your motives for this follow-up conversation? Is it in a needy way, or is it sharing? Is it mutually healthy to have this conversation? Is this person open to having the conversation? Can they even hear what you're saying? Is this the right time? Timing is involved too. Is this destructive, or does it interrupt their process to have this conversation, right? And are you wanting to have it just to pacify your own discomfort, or is it, you know, is there a valid reason for both sides, right? So that's one of the things, or some of the things to consider in proactive confrontation. And so then it's like, if you've been preparing yourself and then having that proactive conversation on the spiritual level before, and like preparing the grounds and then praying over it and around it, and you still feel like there's, you know, you can have that, and the discernment tells you that's the right time, like the opportunity may present, right? But that's not always the option. Sometimes we're left with these messy endings that we don't have closure with, and we're left with our own self to come to terms with it. And that can be very difficult. And so sometimes it's easier to just keep going and turn away and let it all be buried underneath and just think, okay, I'm just going to get over this. I'm going to move on. But a lot of times those things lurk under the surface, and you don't even realize that they're affecting your expectations of how it's going to play out, or what's possible, or, oh, it's just probably going to be the same thing again, or it affects your trust or whatnot. So this is not always comfortable work to do, releasing, letting go, going back, and like going through the wreckage. But it's necessary work, because it clears the ground for new possibilities to come into the future. All right, let's get one more oracle card, and then we will clarify with some tarot cards. All right, what is this? You deserve love. So yes, part of this unpacking starts because you have a belief that you deserve love, and the work that is done comes from a position of self-worth, that you are willing to invest in yourself, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it takes discipline and effort and devotion and hard work. You're going to put in the time with yourself to figure out how to free yourself from your limiting beliefs, or your self-sabotage, or your codependency or enmeshment, or whatever it is that's plaguing you, that's keeping you from having the fulfilling relationship that you want with a soulmate, right? And someone who also sees you as, wow, this could be the one. This is a soulmate as well. That's worth waiting on, and it's worth doing the work for. But in order to do that work, and for it to be effective, and to call in what you really deserve, you have to believe fully that you deserve love. And blocks that stand in the way of that: guilt, shame, feeling like you are inadequate, or that you are unworthy, feeling like you are doomed or cursed to fail, or that you are inherently wrong or bad in some way. Maybe there are shadow aspects to yourself that you've had a hard time reintegrating and embracing, and you still feel like those parts of yourself, if anybody sees them, they'll reject you, they'll abandon you. And so that leads to our own self-abandonment when we hide those parts, when we try to shirk them away and sweep them under the rug and pretend like we're all just this, the perfect Barbie presentation, perfect package in the box, you know, ready to go, with the perfect outfit and a glazed over smile, ready for the high heels, you know, the performance. We have to accept the parts of ourselves that we've been denying, because otherwise we are abandoning that self before anyone else does. And so we are just setting ourselves up in the vibration of, I'm unworthy, I'm inadequate, I will be abandoned. If I show myself fully, I will not be loved or accepted or belong. And so all of that has to get shifted on an internal level before you can receive the soulmate relationship, before you can receive love fully, right? And a lot of it could be tied to, first of all, the lessons that we've been having coming up this week are directed to early childhood wounds, related to the father. So the father would be outer expression of how our father's behavior and the way that they acted in our family and acted within life and like set that example. And then maybe there was a direct behavior that wounded us from our father. It's like those things we take on, and it affects the way that we show up in the world. It affects the way that we act. It's the masculine, it's the outer expression. Whereas the mother wound has come up again this week as well. And the mother wound has to do with the feminine, the internal realm. The mother wound has, and the way that we saw the mother showing up in life and approaching life and interacting with us affects the way that we feel about ourselves. And so there's this combination of what's happening from the earliest points in our childhood about, okay, well, I've got these unconscious beliefs about how I feel about myself, and I've got all these unconscious impulses about how I react because that's the paradigms that I saw, and those are the things that were placed in my hard drive. And so we reflexively just regurgitate that without self-awareness, without sovereignty, without free will. And so when we unpack those things and we start to recognize and observe those patterns, we have more power over them. We can reclaim them and we can recognize, oh, okay, I see how I am, the way that I'm acting and showing up, that I'm repeating things that my father did, and I don't have to do that. And I see what's motivating me to do this now. And the way that I feel about myself that came from my mother, it's like it's only coming from her own like flaws and where she was at in her earlier adulthood as well. And so it's more to do with her stuff than it is me. It shouldn't be personal. But those are the things that each person has to come to terms with and overcome. It's a lot we're dealt with being human and having parents, and then the relationship with parents and children. It's part of our tikkun process, the soul healing that we talk about in Hebrew Kabbalah. So all of this is coming up so that we can finally get to the root of these patterns that have been playing out, because we got this programming, you know, as early kid, you know, as children. And then we have these adolescent relationships that are our first impressions of relationships. And we have those based on the paradigms that we have just freshly witnessed growing up with our own insecurities and with their insecurities, and at an immature level. It's like you're dealing with loaded guns that you're not prepared to handle. And so you take on these wounds, you know, that kids are guilty of like inflicting on one another, just playing with fireworks, you know? And so you're left with these really intense experiences from adolescence that carry on to your early adulthood into your 20s. And then you have these relationships that play out in a deeper way then. You think you're more aware, but you're not. And so you have all of these wounds that have been inflicted by two people that are not self-aware, that are just regurgitating their impulses, their impulsive behaviors. And so until we start to become self-aware, we're just regurgitating and playing out these this system programming that has been installed in our hard drive that we haven't chosen. We haven't chosen which apps we want and which operating system we prefer. It's just the one that was given to us with the technology, right? So now we're becoming more self-aware and we're learning, hey, we can reprogram our subconscious. We can heal these things. But it does require that we go back and sift through distant wreckage. What are these continuing themes that have played out? They're probably not all over the place. You probably have a couple of things that have just gone over and over and over again. And it's like, what are those things? And when did they really start? Go back further, right? And then even go back through those people that weren't even necessarily these big, long, official relationships where they break up and you know you have to do the work, or you know you have to get over that person. It's more obvious. But we're the less obvious people. And, you know, those things that were intense that left you with impressions too. But it all has to do with your deservingness and healing that. Okay, let's get some quick clarifying cards on, okay, what do we need to know more about the soulmate here? Tarot. Okay, what is this? Knight of Swords. So Knight of Swords sees what needs to be done and they move very quickly. They're very clear. They see the details. They're very enthusiastic. They want to jump on something. They're the fastest moving knight in the tarot. And they're very, it's not totally mature. But they have, fast moving thinking, communication. There's a lot of engagement, but a lot of participation with the Knight of Swords. Very enthusiastic person, sees the details, can practically look at the situation and tackle it. So this connected to soulmate is once you see clearly what needs to be done, then you can take those actions quickly and it will clear up the energy for you to maybe very quickly meet a soulmate. But it might be once you've had these realizations, it might move the energy very quickly. Okay, so what do we need to know about releasing the ex? What do we need to know? What's more clarity around that? More specifically, what about releasing the ex? What is it about releasing the ex that we need to know for our highest good? Four of Wands. So Four of Wands, as you can see here, there's two people standing in this kind of like a hopa, and they're getting married. And the Four of Wands is the marriage card. It talks about a time of prosperity and tranquility and peace and harmony and fulfillment and abundance. And so it's a time after effort has been put in that is a time to enjoy, that's peaceful, but there's stability here. Four of Wands, the wand suit is passion, it's fire, it's spirit. So the exes, the baggage, the old baggage, this is the thing that's standing in the way of your ultimate fulfillment. And so the more that you release your ex, the more that you will have let go and cut away all the static that's keeping you from the fulfillment that you're looking for. So yeah, I mean, there could be someone that you need to let go of because there's someone very close by that may be coming in. Or there's things that you have to let go of around a situation with someone that already exists in your life before that can go forward. Or vice versa, maybe they do or you both do. All right, this could be the one. What do we need to know about this being the one? what context, what about this could be the one? What is something more that we can know about this being the one? Okay, what are these cards? They kind of tell a story. Okay, King of Wands, Six of Cups, Knight of Cups, Four of Pentacles. So the King of Wands is kind of the person in the deck that has it all going on. They have the passion, they've got the stability, they've got the spiritual basis, they are industrious, they are go-getters. So the King of Wands is a very, someone who's grown into themselves and their self-mastery, if there's a lot of passion there. So this could be the one. It's like, okay, well, whoever it is going to be very passionate, very certain, very sure, very confident, very capable. They have mastered a lot of the elements within themselves, but there's something like you know, you're not waiting for a boring person, that's for sure. Six of Cups is nostalgic. It's someone coming back from the past. So when it says you've already met the person, the romantic partner that you seek, and there's a Six of Cups here, it might mean that you really literally have. It could be a past life though. This could be a past life soulmate that's about to re-enter that you will recognize, or that's familiar to you, that you have met before, just not in this particular life. Or you've met on a soul level and they are now coming in. If this is a literal person you already know, this could come with an apology or a rekindling or, you know, a new start. Either way, the Six of Cups warns not to look at something as better than it was or worse than it was. So don't get nostalgic about like, oh, this was the best thing ever, and let it hold you back from moving forward. But also don't look back at something and get obsessed over like, oh, I can't believe it didn't work out, or why hasn't it ever done, you know, like, because when you get back into like the whole like, oh, like the bemoaning of the fates, it's like you are just ruminating in that as your present, and that is like what you're vibrating and manifesting from. So King of Wands is a good character to have on this. Could be the one. It could be somebody that you know. Knight of Cups is a romantic offer. It's someone who's coming in who's theatrical, creative, maybe a little bit of a feminine edge, but they are romantic and charismatic. But the Knight of Cups comes in with a romantic offer. Now, sometimes there is a warning about the Knight of Cups because it may not be super solid, or it could be. It could appear that it's not super solid, but this is coming with the Four of Pentacles. So it's coming with a caveat. Four of Pentacles is a bit of a stagnant energy where someone is... So in the positive way, Four of Pentacles is about building stability and security. But gone into the extremes, this can be blocked energy. It can be controlling. The heart chakra is blocked also by this pentacle. So there could be something that this person is holding on to that's getting in the way of their offer being totally solid yet. But that's why maybe this is coming in saying like, look, this really could be the one, but like there's this other situation that has to play out and heal before this could be the one. This could also be that you are blocking yourself off from a new romantic offer because you haven't released your ex. So you have to release the ex in order to unblock yourself from a new offer coming in that can be really, really amazing. Okay, interesting. All right, and then last but not least, what do we need to know about You Deserve Love? What is the advice here on how we need to show up right now for ourselves? Okay, so Seven of Cups reversed. And let me just grab Eileen Conley's interpretation of this. Every now and then, I love to refer to the classic. My version of the canon for tarot is Eileen Conley's descriptions. Oh my gosh, Seven of Cups had a bookmark in it. Amazing. So, Seven of Cups reversed. What I was gonna say before I opened the page was that the impression I was getting was you deserve love. And so getting clear on that will clear up any of the confusion that you've had or any illusions about projections you've had on options or suitors or relationships, even projections that you might become aware of that you were putting on people in the past, right? Not getting clear on expectations and boundaries, living in a fantasy world, or living in a consciousness where you just wanted to explore all the options and you didn't have any clarity or intention about what you really wanted. So now, as you heal and the more that you realize you deserve love, the more it's going to clear up the confusion. It's going to like make options more clear. It's going to clear out the clutter. Essentially, the more you know you deserve love, the more deeper that sets in and that self-worth takes root, the less you will entertain. The decisions will be more clear. No's will be stronger. It will be like, no, that's definitely a no. This is a yes. This is a no. You will be able to cut through the clutter with a lot more efficiency and clarity and decisiveness. The more you know you deserve love, the less confused you will be when a real solid, like genuine offer presents itself, right? Otherwise, you may still be having a hard time trusting it if you're still weighed down by the baggage of the past. All right. So I feel like a lot of clarity is coming, but it's up to us to do the healing work. And so that's the assignment on the table this week, is to do that healing work, going back, releasing those exes, getting the ground clear, getting clear on the impressions that those relationships left on you about yourself and about your worthiness or deserving of what you really envision. The full thing, not just partial, not just like a version of what you wanted, but like not the whole thing. Like, get clear on what you really want and hold out for that. And it will come. And it may be closer than we think. All right, y'all. Well, I hope that you have a good week ahead. Good luck. We did not have our midweek reading video, not yet. I might do it tomorrow during the day before our later video. But for now, I would say go to Instagram, Liz_Taylor_Magick. The link is in my description. You can follow me there and then read our post. It's got the octagonal cards, the alchemy deck. And that's our midweek reading where we go deeper into the process of like the lessons that we've been working with this week. That was a really important reading and I do want to talk about it. I've just had like a lot of, like the new moon workshop took forever to upload. And so then I've had a really busy day. So I didn't get to do the post yesterday. And so I was a little bit behind, but it's still there if you want to read it. There's plenty of guidance in the post, in the written post. And then I will talk about it more tomorrow before we come on for our later video. All right, y'all. Ciao.